My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC on ABC2, we have Smiling Sam Alvey versus Julian Marquez. And this is another interesting fight. We've broken down Julian Marquez in the past. We've gotten that pick correct, but I don't know if we're all going to pick him this time. Dan, what are your thoughts? Are you going with Julian Marquez this time as well?
So the last time, if I remember correctly, we got that pick correct, but barely, right? That was like third round. I don't even know what, a minute left, and he pulled it off, and it was definitely a comeback. Who did he ask for a date with afterwards? Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus. Yeah. Did you just say Molly Cyrus? You're so old.
What's her name?
She responded too. I think she.
Jacob, what'd you call her?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
So what's her name? Actually, I don't even know.
Miley.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus.
Her name's Hannah.
Right, Miley Cyrus. All right. Anyways, yeah, no, Marquez was getting pieced up in that fight. I will say Maki Pitolo, I think, is an overall better striker than Sam Alvey, but we said it before, or I said it before. Yeah, Sam Alvey is deceptively good, and I feel like every fight he goes into, he's the underdog, and we saw it in his last fight against, what's his name? I'm going to butcher his name. So anyways, his last fight, he looked really good boxing against a guy who's a much better technical boxer. So I think Sam Alvey could make this fight interesting. The one thing I worry about is Julian Marquez has bombs, throws bombs. So I don't know. Alvey's so tough, though. He doesn't get put away easy. So I think for the DraftKings dollars, Sam Alvey's worth the $7,200 in this one, especially with Marquez looking the way he looked last fight prior to pulling off that submission. So I don't have my lineup at this minute, but I am making some changes. So I may need to put him in there to get somebody more expensive. So, I'm picking Sam Alvey. I was so impressed with the way he fought his last fight. I'm taking him.
Yikes. Nick, what are your thoughts on this fight? I am not a big Sam Alvey fan. He's great. His personality's great. All that's great. His fighting style frustrates the hell out of me. But Nick, what are your thoughts here? How do you think this goes?
He comes out to that stupid ass Hey Soul Sister song, and he's smiling the whole time and kissing his wife, and I'm like, man, this is corny. And then they're like, oh, he has all these kids and he adopted all these kids, and I'm like, man, what a nice guy. I can't what a good guy, with all the smile, hey, good mood. And then he just makes a mean face and backs up to the cage and throws cross hook cross. He just backs up and throws cross hook or hook cross, and that's it. It's the most basic thing, but he knows his range really well. He hits like a truck, and he's good even though everyone knows exactly what he's going to do. Julian Marquez is wow, it's hard and has a lot of heart. Not really much of a wrestler, but just a grinder, tough type of guy that finds ways to win. Against Hawes, who was a wrestler, he beat Matt Hamill, who's a wrestler, and he was getting out wrestled by Maki Pitolo, who's not a wrestler, and looked not too great until he won. He showed his heart and there, but he's got little, from someone with not a big reach, obviously, he's got small, short arms, and he's got to barrel in to get the takedown. And Sam Alvey has a really long reach and does that well. So I'm going to favor Sam Alvey in this fight. Even though I love Julian Marquez, he's someone I would say is a friend. So I'll be rooting for Marquez. But at 7,200, I think that Alvey should go in the lineup.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting matchup, and I agree with you. I think Marquez is. We were so high on him last time, and he just came out and didn't look great, and he pulled off the win, and he won by stoppage, but he just didn't look great leading into it. Jacob, I don't know why you're so up in arms right now. Can I what's your deal? What?
I actually, you know what? Thinking back now to the Gian Vellante fight, where Gian Vellante got clipped by Sam Alvey, but just kept coming forward, and it was a split decision. I am going to favor Julian Marquez, so I'm going to put him down.
Flip?
I was thinking, it just hit my head that I'm going to pick him as my favorite. But if you want the heavy people, the heavy thing, Sam Alvey is a good pick to put in your lineup, especially at 7,200, more so than Marquez. But I just had
that fight in 2018 just changed it all.
I was like, you know what? It just hit me. And I was like, I'm going to pick Marquez. But if I was going to put one in my lineup, I'll put Sam Alvey.
I'm not going to lie. I watched his last fight, and I was so impressed. I was like, you know what? I think I'm picking him because I remember Marquez's last fight, and then I watched Alvey's against Daun Jung. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name before. But I'm just pulling up his shirt dog. He lost 4 in a row before that, so he has not won in his last 5 fights. So
split decision to Ryan Spann, though. That's wild.
I know, yeah, right. He fights tough in a lot of these fights, but man, he looked. I don't know if you haven't watched that fight yet. Watch his last fight. He looked very tricky and good striking, and I thought he won all the boxing exchanges. I thought he won the fight, to be honest.
I just can't. Sam Alvey frustrates the hell out of me. Watching him fight is just so frustrating. It's almost as frustrating as watching Jacob do his stupid eye rolls and his stupid arm movements, to the point where people have to comment that you ruin the show in your blue hat. So go ahead, make whatever point you're going to make. Tell us about Julian Marquez's nickname. We'd love to hear all about it.
No, I'm saying I was going to ask for drug tests for Nick and Dan for going with Sam Alvey. Finally, Nick came to his senses, and then Dan started realizing this guy is winless in his last 5 fights. Winless. You guys are talking about how good he lost in a draw and talking about how bad Julian looked in a win. He won. He is 8-2. All 8 wins are finishes, no decisions. You know, and Sam Alvey he's winless in his last 5 fights. I don't know what you guys are seeing here. Julian Marquez runs over, knocks out Alvey very quickly. He's in my lineup.
The most sensible thing Jacob has said in weeks. This will be interesting. I don't think, interesting is the right word. I don't know if it'll be the most fun fight in the world, but it may be, because Sam Alvey actually brings it out of people, because he will, as Nick said, just put his back against the cage and throw bombs. And Julian Marquez is not a wrestler. I don't anticipate him shooting. So
he's
see what
cutting
happens
back down to 85 for this, right? Yeah, I think he's cutting back. He was at 205. Yeah.
He'll just do whatever. I mean, to his credit, UFC is like, you want to do this? He's like, yeah, all right, I'll fight that guy this week. Sure, no problem. I'll take the opportunity. So good for Sam. He's been around. Considering he's not great, he's been around for a very long time, and he's built a legitimate career for himself. And regardless of our opinions of him,
he's got 50 fights.
He is. Yeah,
50,
exactly.
50 professional. He's 34 too. He's not that old.
No, but yeah, I think Julian Marquez is the pick. Hopefully he's shored up some cardio issues, but we'll see what happens. Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests, and as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start, so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.